In America, adults over 65 lose about 8% of their muscle mass every decade, and nearly half live with chronic inflammation that quietly eats away at their strength. I remember reading that and thinking, so that's what's happening to me. My name is Fumiko. I'm 82 now, but I still cook, garden, and walk to the local shrine every morning. But it wasn't always like this. Just 10 years ago, my legs ached too much to stand for more than a few minutes. My arms felt like air. I couldn't open jars, couldn't sleep through the night. My body was shrinking, and I felt helpless. If you're watching this and feeling something similar, know this: it's not too late. What changed everything for me began with 3 simple root vegetables. Before we begin, I'd love to know, where are you watching this from? And what time is it for you right now? Please let me know in the comments below. I truly look forward to reading them. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss what's coming next. A discovery in rural Japan. After months of feeling like I was disappearing into my bed, I decided to spend a summer in my hometown, a small village nestled in the mountains of Nagano. I had no plan, just a quiet longing for something familiar, something slower. What I found was more than nostalgia. There, my childhood friend, Haruki, now 87, still tended to his vegetable garden every morning. His back was straight, his stride steady. One afternoon, he waved me over with muddy hands and said, "You need to eat from the ground, like we always have." We sat under the persimmon tree, and he peeled a long, strange-looking root I hadn't eaten in decades. "Nagaimo," he said. "We grate it. It's slippery, a bit odd, but good for your stomach, good for your legs." Over the next weeks, I started eating with him every day. Fresh cooked rice, grated nagaimo, pickled daikon, a little miso soup, and always a pot of warm ginger tea. I wasn't expecting change, but it came quietly. First, I noticed my fingers didn't swell in the morning. Then, my legs felt a little less stiff when I stood up. I started walking farther. My sleep became deeper. Even the fog in my mind began to lift. Curious, I began reading and asking questions. I learned that the roots we were eating weren't just tradition. They were packed with compounds known to support aging bodies. Nagaimo, for example, contains a natural substance called diosgenin, which some researchers link to muscle strength and hormonal balance. Ginger, with its gingerols, has been shown to reduce inflammation on par with some medications, without the side effects. And daikon, that crisp white radish, contains enzymes that aid in digestion and support nutrient absorption, especially important for aging muscles. But beyond science, there was something else at work: the rhythm of it all, eating slowly, eating simply, eating with someone. One morning, I found myself carrying a small basket to Haruki's garden. My hands, once too shaky to hold a teacup, were steady enough to pick ginger from the soil. It made me wonder how many others, just like me, are waiting for their bodies to come back to life. If you are too, then maybe, just maybe, these humble roots can offer a place to begin. Root number 1. Nagaimo. The first time I held a nagaimo in my hand again, I was surprised by its texture, smooth, pale, and cool to the touch. It looked almost like an ordinary yam, but once peeled and grated, it turned into something entirely different. Slippery, almost like silk. In Japan, we call this tororo when it's grated, an ancient food, humble yet powerful. Haruki told me to eat it raw. "That's how you get the real benefit," he said, handing me a small bowl of rice with tororo poured gently over the top. At first, I hesitated. The slimy texture is something most Western palates aren't used to. But once I tasted it, light, earthy, almost sweet, I was reminded of meals from my childhood when my mother used to whisper, "Eat this to stay strong in winter." Nagaimo is unlike most other starchy roots. It's the only yam that can be eaten raw. That's because it contains unique enzymes, amylase and diastase, which aid in digesting starch and protein. These enzymes are still active when eaten fresh, helping our aging digestive systems absorb nutrients more efficiently. But what truly amazed me was what modern science says about Nagaimo. It contains diosgenin, a plant compound that acts as a natural steroid precursor. It helps regulate hormones, supports muscle regeneration, and may even improve bone density. For someone over 60, that's critical. As muscle mass decreases with age, the body struggles to rebuild without proper nutrition, and without nutrients being properly absorbed, even the healthiest food won't help. Nagaimo quietly works in the background, restoring that inner balance. Another fascinating property? Mucopolysaccharides. These compounds give Nagaimo its signature slimy texture, but inside the body, they act like a protective gel for your stomach lining, reducing inflammation and enhancing gut health. A healthy gut isn't just about digestion, it's where immunity, mood, and even muscle recovery begin. And the Japanese have known this for centuries. In the village, we often eat Nagaimo with natto, fermented soybeans, and a raw quail egg. It may sound strange, but the combination is a powerhouse of protein, probiotics, and anti-inflammatory agents. For those who prefer gentler flavors, it can be mixed into a simple miso soup or sliced thin and lightly pan-seared with sesame oil and a pinch of sea salt. One morning, after 3 weeks of eating tororo daily, I reached up to tie my hair and paused. For the first time in years, I hadn't felt the deep ache in my shoulders that had become a constant shadow. It wasn't dramatic, just a quiet absence of pain. But that's how healing often works, quietly until you realize it's been with you all along. If you're curious about how to try Nagaimo yourself, it can be found in most Asian grocery stores. Look for roots that are firm and smooth, not shriveled. Peel carefully. Some people experience a slight itchiness when touching the raw skin, so gloves are helpful. Grate it raw and add to rice, soup, or blend into smoothies. Start with just a tablespoon a day and notice how your body responds. For me, Nagaimo was more than a food. It was the beginning of returning to myself, a way to rebuild not just muscle, but trust in my body again. Root number 2, ginger. The scent of ginger in a warm kitchen always takes me back to my grandmother's house in Kyoto. Rain tapping on the roof, a small pot simmering on the stove, and the sharp, earthy fragrance of fresh ginger filling the air. When I was young, ginger was used for everything: nausea, cold hands, sore joints. But as I grew older and moved to the city, I forgot its quiet power. It wasn't until that summer in Nagano, while recovering in the countryside, that I came to understand ginger not as a spice, but as medicine. Haruki would brew a simple ginger tea every morning. Just fresh slices, a bit of honey, and boiling water. "This keeps my blood moving," he said, "and when blood moves, pain goes away." I didn't think much of it at first, but within days of drinking it, my hands, usually cold and stiff in the morning, began to feel warmer, looser. My knees, which used to throb at night, no longer kept me awake. I could step out of bed without bracing myself. What's behind this quiet transformation? Modern studies tell us that ginger contains gingerols, powerful anti-inflammatory compounds that act like natural ibuprofen, but without the risk of stomach ulcers or liver strain. These gingerols help reduce joint pain, muscle soreness, and the systemic inflammation that often creeps in with age. But ginger doesn't just numb the pain. It supports healing at the root. It boosts circulation, allowing oxygen and nutrients to reach tired muscles and damaged tissues more efficiently. This makes it ideal not just for relieving discomfort, but for actually helping the body rebuild. And for older adults whose circulation often slows, that's essential. In Japan, ginger is often added to miso soup, pickled alongside sushi, or grated into dipping sauces. But one of the most common and comforting ways we use it is in a dish called shogayaki, thinly sliced pork sauteed with grated ginger and soy sauce. It's warm, savory, and simple to digest. For me, it became a weekly ritual. I would cook it slowly, let the aroma fill my kitchen, and eat it with a small bowl of barley rice. One evening, as I sat alone with my meal, I realized something quiet but profound. I wasn't afraid of my body anymore. I used to eat wondering what would trigger pain or bloating. Now, each bite felt like it was helping me, not hurting me. If you're new to ginger, start small. Brew a slice or two in hot water and sip slowly. Add grated ginger to a stir-fry. Or stir a pinch of powdered ginger into oatmeal with cinnamon. It doesn't take much to begin feeling its warmth from the inside out. Some people worry about ginger's spiciness, but the fresh root is actually quite gentle, especially when cooked. And if you have trouble with circulation, cold limbs, or joint stiffness, ginger might be one of the simplest additions you can make to your daily routine. For me, it was never about becoming young again. It was about no longer feeling like I was falling apart. Ginger helped me find warmth, not just in my body, but in the small daily rituals that brought me back to life. Route number 3, daikon. When I think of daikon, I think of winter mornings in Japan, cold air pressing against the paper windows, and a pot of soup bubbling gently on the stove. Inside that pot, slices of daikon, slow cooked until translucent, soft and almost sweet. Daikon is one of the most common vegetables in Japanese kitchens, but also one of the most overlooked outside of Japan. To many, it's just a radish, but to us, it's medicine. After returning to my roots that summer in Nagano, I began eating daikon almost daily. At first, it was just habit, something Haruki served with every meal, grated raw on top of grilled fish, pickled and crunchy as a side dish, stewed in miso soup. But over time, I noticed something unexpected. My belly, once constantly bloated and tight, felt calm. My appetite returned. I no longer felt heavy after eating, and slowly my energy rose, not the jittery kind, but a deep, steady clarity. I later learned why. Daikon is rich in digestive enzymes, especially one called amylase, which helps break down starches. For older adults, this is vital. As we age, our bodies naturally produce fewer digestive enzymes, making it harder to absorb nutrients, even when we eat healthy foods. Daikon gently restores that balance, improving digestion without harsh side effects. It also contains myrosinase, a compound that supports detoxification and reduces inflammation, particularly in the gut. And a calm gut means a calmer immune system. In Japan, we often say, a happy belly brings a quiet heart. I believe that. But what impressed me most was how much daikon supports the absorption of proteins, essential for rebuilding muscle. For years, I ate chicken, tofu, and eggs, but still felt weak. Once my digestion improved, it felt like my body could finally use the food I gave it. One of my favorite ways to eat it is simply grated and served raw with a squeeze of yuzu or lemon. The sharpness wakes up the senses and clears the fog from the head. It's refreshing, especially in the early afternoon when energy dips. Another classic? Oden. A warm stew of daikon, boiled eggs, tofu, and seaweed. It's not just food, it's comfort. It brings back memories of winter evenings, sitting with my husband, hands wrapped around warm bowls, talking quietly about nothing and everything. If you'd like to try daikon yourself, look for firm, white roots with smooth skin. Avoid any that feel soft or have blemishes. You can slice and add them to soups, roast them like carrots, or grate raw into salads. And if digestion has been a struggle, or if you feel tired no matter what you eat, daikon might be your missing link. There was one morning when I truly felt its effect. I had slept soundly, woke up with ease, ate a breakfast of warm miso soup, grilled salmon, and daikon oroshi. Then I walked to the shrine, slowly but steadily. As I passed the rice fields, I realized this wasn't just food. This was nourishment. And that's something I want you to feel too. Why Japanese seniors stay strong. I used to think health was just about what you eat. Protein, vitamins, supplements. But as I aged, I learned that how you eat matters just as much. In Japan, we have a philosophy called shokuiku. It means food education. But it's more than teaching children about vegetables. It's about reconnecting with the rhythm of nature, with the seasons, with our own bodies. We grow up learning not just what's on our plate, but why it's there. In the countryside, meals are simple. A bowl of rice, a small dish of pickles, a piece of fish, maybe soup with root vegetables, nagaimo, daikon, a slice of ginger floating on top. Nothing fancy. But each bite is cooked with care, eaten slowly, with gratitude. There's no rush, no snacking in the car, no eating in front of the television. Mealtime is sacred. It brings families together. It creates pause. This rhythm does something to the body. It calms the nervous system. It gives the digestive organs time to work. It helps the mind slow down so we can feel full, satisfied, and nourished. Many older Japanese adults don't count calories or worry about carbs. Instead, they follow the seasons. In summer, cooling foods like grated daikon. In winter, warming stews with ginger and root vegetables. These choices aren't based on trends. They're based on centuries of lived wisdom. And then there's portion size. You might notice our plates are smaller. That's intentional. We eat until we're about 80% full, a practice called harahachi-bu. It teaches us to listen to our bodies, to stop before we're heavy or tired after meals. I believe this is why many Japanese elders remain active well into their 80s and 90s. It's not just the food, it's the lifestyle around the food. One of my favorite sayings comes from my grandfather. Food can be medicine or a slow poison. The difference is how you live with it. Now, after all these years, I understand. So when I began eating those 3 roots, nagaimo, ginger, and daikon, it wasn't just the nutrients that helped. It was the act of slowing down, preparing each meal with attention, sitting down to eat without distraction, trusting my body to respond gently and naturally. A simple one-day meal plan with all 3 roots. You don't need to change everything at once. Sometimes healing begins with a single quiet day and a few humble ingredients. Here's a simple one-day meal plan I followed during my recovery. It includes all 3 roots, nagaimo, ginger, and daikon, and is gentle on digestion, warming to the joints, and supportive of muscle strength. Morning, start your day with a warm bowl of rice topped with grated nagaimo. Add a drizzle of tamari or a soft-boiled egg if you like. Nagaimo is best eaten raw and fresh in the morning when the body is waking up and ready to receive its enzymes. Drink a small cup of ginger tea alongside. Just thinly slice fresh ginger, steep it in hot water for 5 minutes, and add a bit of honey if desired. It gently awakens circulation and soothes stiffness in the hands and knees. Midday. For lunch, a simple miso soup made with soft tofu, seaweed, and chunks of daikon. Let the daikon simmer until it's translucent and tender. It adds a natural sweetness and supports digestion. Pair this with a small portion of grilled fish or cooked beans and a side of steamed greens. You'll find that with the daikon, your stomach feels lighter even after a full meal. Evening dinner can be soft barley porridge or rice with sautéed vegetables. Add a spoonful of grated ginger to a small stir-fry or soup. Or simply steep more ginger tea to help the body wind down for the evening. If you'd like, slice daikon thinly and make a light pickle with a splash of vinegar and salt. Leave it for 30 minutes. It cleanses the palate and supports gut health overnight. This is not a strict diet. There's no need to measure or track. Just listen to your body. Eat slowly. Sit down. Breathe. Let the roots remind you what nourishment feels like, not just physically, but emotionally. Even one of these meals, once a week, can be a beautiful place to begin. I didn't set out to heal. I simply wanted to feel a little better, to stand without pain, to sleep through the night, to smile at my reflection again. What I found in those 3 roots, nagaimo, ginger, and daikon, was more than nutrition. It was a quiet return to strength, to trust, to life. You don't need exotic diets or perfect routines. Sometimes, all it takes is a warm bowl of soup, a simple cup of tea, a few kind moments with your own body. So if you're watching this, wondering if it's too late, please hear me. It's not. Start small. Try a new route this week. Eat with care, and let each meal remind you you are still healing. You are still here. Please remember, health information on YouTube is not one size fits all and does not replace professional medical advice. If you're concerned about your health, talk to your doctor or healthcare provider. If you think you're having a medical emergency, contact your physician or call emergency services immediately. Take good care of yourself. And if this video helped you in any way, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Until next time.